A little different, but it's kind of awesome at the same time. And
Yeah, yeah.
let's kick this off. Greetings, Spaced Out Radio Land on YouTube. How are you all doing? We're going to kick things off saying thank you to Jarhead for getting the super chat going tonight. Really do appreciate that, man. Unexpected, but thank you. And Jarhead, thank you so much for your amazing service for the United States and the U.S. Marine Corps. We really do appreciate that. Even though I'm up here in Canada, man, I still love that respect and want to show it to you. And we love our veterans like Human Carl, who served as well. We love our veterans and the amazing vets that listen to this show. We're going to give a quick shout out to everybody who is in our chat room so far before I introduce you to tonight's guest, Nelson Dellis. And I have to tell you, and I was just mentioning to him, and he almost slapped me through Skype. This is literally. I wanted to do this same show again. We did it last on July 5th, 2018. But Nelson is my favorite guest that I've ever had on this show. And because our listenership has grown in leaps and bounds, I really wanted to do this show again because his story about Mount Everest is absolutely amazing, and you guys are in for a real treat. So let's just give a quick rundown here. Hi, gorgeous Kimberly. Hey, Alaska's greatest athlete, Ladybug Bigelow. You're looking beautiful tonight. Jarhead, thank you again for the wonderful super chat. I really do appreciate it. Hi, gorgeous Becky Belling. The lovely and talented Jessica McCreary is here, everyone. Down in Florida, they're all cheering Steph Dickey on. Yes. Hi, Steph. Good to see you. Brett Lewis is here, which means we can officially start the show. Human Carl, not to be confused with Alien Carl. Love you, man, and thank you for your wonderful service to your country as well, my friend. We love you around here. Hi, gorgeous Ann. Good to see you. Lord of Land, Cat Chaser. Appreciate you coming on in. Hi, Fast Hemi. Always a pleasure to have you here as well. Where are we here? Dirty Filth, good to have you here, man. Go 66. Richard Elmore, appreciate you. Hello, lovely Jules. Good to have you back. Project Blue Book, nice to see you. Fapster, always a pleasure. Burrito, you still make me hungry. Hey, Steve, how you doing at KPNL? Good to see you, man. The lovely and talented Renee, good to have you back. I think I'm caught up for right now, but you guys are in for a treat. Nelson Dellis, four-time U.S. memory champion, and this guy is brilliant. And we are in for one hell of a show tonight. Really, I cannot. I've been jonesing on this since you said, Nelson. I've been jonesing on this for a while, man. I really have. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's amazing. I'm so excited to be back on this show. I had a great time last time, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, and you know what? But so much has changed, man. We'll get into this when the
Yeah,
show starts in a couple minutes. I mean, you weren't even engaged when we had you on last, or you just got engaged, one of the two, and now you got this
yeah,
beautiful wife, this beautiful family, these two gorgeous children. You know, I'm sure
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
dog or a cat thrown in there somewhere
Oh
as
yeah.
well. Yeah, man. I mean, congratulations, man. Like
Thank you
honestly,
so much.
honestly.
Yeah, life has changed quite a bit already since then.
Absolutely, it has. And let's see, anybody else coming in here? Hey, Pharmacy, good to have you here. Hi, gorgeous Jenny. Thanks for joining us. And we're just a couple of minutes away here from launching Nelson Dellis Haunted Everest. That is what we're talking about. And oh man, I I want to say so much, and I got to wait like 2 minutes. I have
You
to
gotta
wait
hold
2 minutes.
on.
I know
Yeah,
it's like Christmas for me, man. This is Christmas radio for me.
that's awesome.
All right. Let's see here. We got about 90 seconds.
All right.
Move that over here. And I end up sending that. I think I did. Yes, I did. All right. Get this going. Okay, that feed is good, and we're hot there. And we're about 1 minute away.
Okay.
All right. Remember, everyone, a great way to support what we do on Spaced Out Radio on a nightly basis is to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 10,000 followers before we hit the end of the year. Head to facebook.com/the SOR Vault in order to check out our swag as well. Here we go, guys. Music's on now. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. What's it like to almost die on Mount Everest? What's it like to be haunted by the world's tallest peak? Tonight, we are going to take you into an unbelievably true story with our guest, Nelson Dellis. Nelson is a mountaineer who is also a 4-time United States memory champion. Trust me, this guy remembers everything. His quest for the world's highest peak has almost cost him his life, not once, but twice. He's seen the bodies, he's seen the danger, he's pushed his own body to the limits to where it's almost failed him. Tonight, he retells his story again. NelsonDellis.com is his website. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Nelson Dellis, a good friend of this show, I got to say that out of all the years that I've been doing this, and we just passed our 6-year anniversary, I would rank you the number 1 interview that I have ever done on a professional level, and I have needed to interview you and go over this story again, because from the last time you were on till where we are today, our audience has grown substantially across North America and the world, and I needed to bring your story back because I just thought it was that important. So thank you so much for joining us once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here again. You know, one of the things I think will be interesting to hear, because I don't talk about my full experience all the time, so it'll be interesting to see how similar it is to how I recalled it back on our previous time versus now, you know, that memory side of things playing in.
Well, you know what, though? A lot has changed in your life since the last time you were on. I believe you had just gotten engaged to your beautiful wife, and I saw all the photos, you know, of your wedding, and you guys look absolutely stunning on your magical day. You now have 2 beautiful children. A lot has changed in your own goals in your own life. You know, maybe talk about your family and how this kind of, you know, puts mountaineering on a different side of life now.
Yeah, it definitely takes on a different meaning and level of importance. I have 2 children now, which is crazy to say. Last time we talked, I had 0 children. I have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old, and they're great, 2 little boys. And I mean, you know, before I would go do a climb. This was even before I had a wife or a serious fiance that was now my wife. You know, I climbed for myself. I had nothing else to worry about, nothing to consider. But now, obviously this year I haven't done much in terms of climbing just because of COVID, but I have to consider it now in the future in terms of how I want to push myself and what risks I want to take. So it changes a lot.
Well, let's discuss that, because for people who don't know you, Okay,
Hmm.
you are the 4-time memory champion in the United States. For people who may not understand, what is that about?
Yeah, so that's kind of my main thing. That's my career. I teach people how to improve their memories, how to improve their brain health through memory techniques and kind of brain health protocols. And I got into that about 10 years ago after my grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's disease, and it kind of inspired me to question what it means to have a healthy brain and what could I be doing about it now at my young age so that the same thing doesn't happen to me as I get older. And that led me into this kind of weird world of mnemonics and competitive memorizing, which I didn't know about until 10 years ago. And most people still don't know about it. It's quite a small, quirky competition, but it's fascinating what a lot of these competitors can do. And when I first heard about it, I thought it was out of this world, something for people that have naturally good memories, not me, which I never had a good memory. And what I found out real quick is that it's just technique and practice, and that anybody can learn how to do it. We have this capability within us. It's just a matter of harnessing it and kind of sharpening it and practicing it. So I took it upon myself to learn it, and in a very short time, I was able to get good enough to win championships and break records and become a grandmaster, and it kind of changed my life.
Now, this is something that changed your life for the positive and just putting that time into your memory. But were you always an outgoing person into extreme sports, or did this kind of open up the fact that really, if you can take control of your mind, you can do anything that you want?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always been interested in lots of things. I'll kind of get into a fad and dive into it 100% really intensely for a while. And then I'll kind of get into something else. That's kind of been Nelson's name of the game. But when I found memory and memory sports, that was kind of the first serious thing that I dove into that stuck. And it's still with me today. I train my memory every day and I love it. And I think the kind of attractive quality that's kept it like a hook for me is that it feels like a superpower. Like once I discovered how to do this, old Nelson with the average memory suddenly is doing these things that seem kind of impossible, and I'm improving on it. For the last 10 years, I'm getting better and better. Just like any athlete might, if they're pushing to become a faster runner or a stronger athlete, there's ways to improve that. Whether it's your technique and finding ways to push through plateaus. The same was applied to my memory, and I just got hooked on that. And it's a crazy kind of addictive feeling to have a mastery over your own memory, and not have to worry about it, not to have anxiety whenever you're in a social setting, you have to remember things, people's names. That's not a problem anymore. It's really transformed my life.
When you got into this, and you're in your mid 30s now, but when you
Yeah.
decided that you wanted to get into this, a lot of times we take a lot of heat from our buddies. Maybe we go to university, and all of a sudden they're like, what are you doing reading all these books, reading, practicing your mind, playing with cards, trying to do this? Like, what is the purpose? Did you get that harassment from your buddies?
Yeah, I mean, I got into this. I was kind of at a transition phase in my life. I stupidly moved out to Chicago like a year before for a girl, and it ended really badly. So I came back. I was living with my parents. I was in quite a bit of debt, so I was just working, studying, finishing my master's, and trying to get my life back on track. So I didn't. I had my close friends, but I wasn't really going out doing much. A lot of the flack I got was from my parents, to be honest. I'd be in my room a lot, just staring at cards, staring at numbers, memorizing them. But they'd walk in and be like, what are you doing? You should be out, doing things, going with your friends. And I was like, no, I really am digging this memory stuff, and I have a plan here. I'm trying to win this championship. And they kind of, in a supportive way, they kind of laughed and said, all right, do your thing. But after they realized that I was serious, and eventually it actually led to what I do now for a living, they've been super supportive.
That is awesome. Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight. on Spaced Out Radio. Nelson, how did you get into mountaineering?
Yeah, so I guess that ex-girlfriend really messed my life up, because that's kind of when everything changed for me, and that's when I kind of took action on a lot of the things that are now, the pillars of my life: memory, Alzheimer's, and mountaineering. So I actually climbed my first mountain. I took a course in the Cascades in 2008, around that same time as I got into memory. And it was kind of like, yeah, I wanted to try everything. I was really open to things. I'd always kind of been interested in mountains and thought for a second, you know what? Why don't I try to climb one? That might be an interesting experience. I had no experience, but I knew I liked mountains. I liked to be near them. I liked to look at them. They made me feel, small and insignificant in this world. And I liked that feeling. So I took this course, hated it. We summited Mount Rainier in the shittiest weather I'd ever experienced. And about a week or two later, you're sitting there kind of reflecting on what you just did. And I was like, you know what? That was actually one of the best experiences of my life. Like, it was difficult. Yeah, it wasn't too pleasant for certain reasons. It was cold, the altitude, the exertion was tough, but I wanted more and something more of a challenge. And that kind of snowballed into, wanting to climb more and kind of push myself. I think that the big part or the draw for me was pushing myself. And that's also evident in the fact that I've pushed myself mentally as well, right, with the memory stuff. So it kind of was in the same kind of vein why I got into the climbing as memory, but different also, right, because it's more of a physical thing.
Nelson, had you ever wanted to do that? Like, growing up, did you ever say, I want to climb Kilimanjaro or Mount Diablo or, even Everest for that matter?
No, no, I was never like a kid that said, you know what, I'm going to climb Everest one day. Or I saw a poster and was like, yeah, I want to climb that. No, the only thing that I did say when I was young is I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to go into space. I wanted to be the first person to set foot on Mars, that kind of thing.
You still can. You still can.
Yeah. No, and I kind of say to myself, well, maybe this Everest thing was kind of it's a similar thing, right? I want to get the closest I can to outer space, right? So, in a way, you are in outer space when you're up there, man. It's far out there.
What is the rush like? Like, why do this? I look at a mountain and I think, okay, like I admit it, but I'm fat. Okay, there. I'm just gonna say it. I am fat, and there is no way that I could ever look at something like that and say, with my bad knees and my belly and my third chin that hides under my beard, I'm looking at it. I'm thinking there is no way that I could ever push myself to those limits, and yet here you are. You have trained your body in order to be able to take that type of severe punishment.
But hold on a second, because what you just said, right, like, is exactly the type of things that I told myself too. I don't consider myself fat, but there's definitely questions about what shape I'm in, or the quality of my knees. They're not the greatest. My leg strength. I thought all those things too. And then I think that's the beauty of this sport, is you go into it with a lot of questions and self-doubt. And yeah, it hurts. And, maybe you do struggle to get up there because you're not in the greatest shape. But imagine how you would feel with all those doubts that you just mentioned, having succeeded, right? And maybe you don't succeed, but let's say you do. How awesome would that feeling be, right? That's the feeling that I am addicted to. And when you get that success, through all the doubt, through all the pain and discomfort, that's an incredible feeling. And it's just something that you want to do again, and you recognize that it's difficult. There's going to be hardships to get there, but the other side of it feels so good. And that's really the calling that keeps kind of creeping up on you after every one of these climbs.
See, for people like me, that feeling is called death. And I'm not ready to die yet, man. I got a lot I need to do. You know,
Sure. Yeah. Then, of course, there's risk. There's a balance there, right? Yeah, that's there are tamer mountains that you could start with versus say Everest. But yeah.
my friend, I don't even walk up my driveway. All
You
right.
should try it sometime. No.
No, well that's maybe a little bit far fetched, but honestly, Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. So when did you climb your first mountain?
Yeah, so that was 2008, and it was like I said in the Cascades, Mount Rainier. Um, yeah, and it was it was like we did a week long course because it was training. It was actually a training course for climbing Mount McKinley, Denali, which is the tallest peak in North America in Alaska. And I think I only signed up for that particular course on Rainier because it was the only availability through this company. Typically, a Rainier climb is just like a 4-day kind of expedition, but this one was like 8 days because you did extra stuff to practice or train for Denali, which is another beast of a mountain. You're carrying up a sled with hundreds of pounds of gear and food. So we had to do that on Rainier, which is kind of ridiculous. You don't need that much gear, but it was training for that. So that was my first foray into the mountaineering world.
Okay, so when you accomplished Denali in Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
what was that feeling when you reached the summit?
Yeah, so that climb, I did that in 2009. It was, it's a longer expedition. It was 3 weeks from where we left out of Alaska, which is a small town called Talkeetna. And it took us 2 weeks to summit, and then we got stuck in really bad weather to come back down and we got stuck for a week. So 3 weeks in total. But on the summit, the cool thing about climbing McKinley is you're basically near the Arctic Circle. So in midsummer, which it was, there was no darkness. You're there all day. It's sunlight. So typically, when you climb, you want to climb at certain times of the day. So it's the sun isn't like melting the snow. It's safer. You have a time window. Like when it gets dark, it's better to be back in your tent. But on McKinley, you can leave whenever you want, which is kind of crazy. And your summit date can be as long as you want because there's no kind of darkness coming. So anyways, that was strange. I remember going to sleep the night before we headed up, and it was sunlight outside, and we woke up. It was like, I don't even remember what time we left, but I would say it was early morning, but looked the same. And we were one of the only ones on the mountain that summit day. And there's this beautiful ridge that you climb up onto. I'd say it's one of the beautiful kind of summit ridges that I've ever seen. And I just remember kind of floating. At that point, I was really tired and exhausted, but just like above the clouds, literally above the clouds, on this beautiful ridge, just kind of plodding along to the summit. And I just remember getting to the top, and my friend had packed some bacon. I don't know how he even did that. He had it in his jacket pocket. So kind of fell to my knees and enjoyed the moment, and he gave me a slice of his bacon. And and then we came back down.
There has to be a real sense of accomplishment in that first climb. I mean, you must have felt absolutely exhausted, but yet indestructible.
Yeah. There's so many emotions that come over you. I cried. You feel like so proud of yourself. You feel a bit scared too because you suddenly realize like you're just halfway. You got to come back down too. I don't know. Yeah, you kind of reflect real quick on what all went into that moment to get there. All the self doubt, all the costs and the time commitments, and there you are on the top of this massive mountain that just a few days or a few weeks before you were looking at from a distance and saying, "Holy shit, that's the biggest, meanest thing I've ever seen. How am I supposed to get up there? My tiny little self. I'm going to get up there, this massive peak." And there you are. You're on it, and it's a crazy, life-changing feeling. I really recommend anybody who's interested in feeling that to explore, mountaineering or climbing a mountain or hiking a mountain. It doesn't necessarily have to be a technical peak, just hiking to the top of a challenging mountain.
That is awesome. I got to ask you, because I was trying to get Chris Ramsay on the show, and we only got about 3 minutes left, and I had no idea you knew him. And for the last couple of years, I have been watching Chris do these amazing puzzles. Every Wednesday, he releases a puzzle, and I'm sitting in my daytime office geeking out, going, "Come on, Chris, release this thing," because I got to watch it. When I first subscribed to him on YouTube, he was at like 300,000 followers and subscribers, and today he's at over like 4.2 million all over these puzzles, and he's a wonderful musician. I've never met the man, ever, but all of a sudden one day I turn on his channel, and there you are. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What is my buddy Nelson doing in Chris Ramsay's studio?
Yeah, man, Chris is awesome. He's the nicest guy, coolest guy ever. Such a cool swag he's got going on. But I love his channel. He just knows so much. Smart guy, awesome finesse with his card tricks and magic, and his puzzle videos are just so mesmerizing. But yeah, he got into memory and he saw my channel, however that happened, and he was like, let's do something. So I flew immediately to Montreal and we made a couple of videos together. It was awesome.
I know. I just admire the guy, and he doesn't know this, and I'm sure he's going to listen, because he did message me on Twitter earlier today when I said that I was going to bring you on. I'm like, hey, if you want to join us, you can. Nice. And he's like, no, but hey, I got a follow out of it. That's the big thing. So if he does listen, and Chris, if you do listen, I copy your channel, man. I go through every show. Okay, what is Chris doing? He's got 4.2. I've got less than 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I got to figure this out. So I'm not going to lie. I'm copying him a little bit, because you got to mirror yourself to those who are better.
But there's no one better than him in terms of of playing the YouTube kind of game.
I know.
He is a master of that. You have no idea, but he does it so well. And I learned a lot when I went up there. He was so kind to kind of give me a few tips for my channel.
I know. Fantastic beard, too. Fantastic beard.
Yeah.
You would look good in one of those. You would totally look good in one of those.
I know. I just don't have the patience to grow that out. I get partway, and then I'm like, I got to shave it.
Oh, well, we've got about a minute here to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Nelson Dellis is here tonight. And, after you decided and had success at Mount McKinley, at Denali, was Everest in your mind at that point, or was it, okay, what's the next step?
Yeah, actually, I mean, even after Mount Rainier, I was like, Everest, it was kind of tickling my mind. I didn't really know yet how I was going to do that. I knew it was expensive and for people way more experienced than me, but I was kind of on a path to figure out how to do that. And after Denali, it became quite a real kind of goal of mine, and I kind of shifted gears to do that. Because some people will climb like a couple 8,000-meter peaks before you do that, but I was like, you know what? I don't have the time and money to do that kind of stuff, so I'm just going to try to go for it.
Wow. And what a story it is, and thank goodness you're here to actually tell us about it, not from the other side, as we will get into a lot more on Nelson Dellis, Haunted Everest. What's it like climbing the legend of Mount Everest? Next on Spaced Out Radio. Nelson's website is nelsondellis.com. I highly suggest you check that on out. It's going to be wonderful. And you're in for one hell of a show tonight, Spaced Out Radio listeners. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Nelson Dellis. Sometimes I hate the warm-up half hour, man. I hate the warm-up half hour.
Why?
Because I want to get to the juice, but in radio terms, you kind of have to, like, the majority of our audience shows up around the 20 minutes after and then we see another peak when we go into hour 2, and then we see another peak again at the bottom of hour number 2. And so if you get all the good stuff out early, then you got nothing for the rest of the show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Good point. It's like a college class. Like, you got to just do a little bit of fluff at the beginning as people trickle in.
That's exactly it.
What are we going on again?
When we got
Yeah,
about
like how many in a minute or
no,
30
we got
seconds?
like 4.5 minutes.
Okay, because I want to ask you. I recently watched. Well, actually, I listened to Joe Rogan, and he had Bob Lazar on there.
Yeah.
Did you hear that one recently?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know all about that one.
Yeah. So I watched the documentary on Netflix, which I had never seen, and
Right.
well, I'm just like down this rabbit hole of reading about
Oh yeah.
alien abductions right now. So
What, you haven't been abducted?
I have not, no, unfortunately.
I have been abducted 5 times, 6 times.
Yeah, I think I've heard some of your shows where you
Yeah.
kind of talked about it out in you're in the forest, right? Some
Yeah.
boondocks where I'm sure aliens love to travel to.
Exactly. It's funny because I found in my I still follow my old hometown's newspaper, and there's a story in there about a guy right in my old area filming a black triangle flying over, and I'm like, yep, seen that happen.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I've always been skeptical, but I always believe that there's some of those. My mom had an incident when we were younger, some kind of encounter, um, but she always describes it very vaguely. She doesn't really know what happened, so it's like hard for her to talk about.
Right.
But the Bob Lazar thing was kind of the first thing I ever really heard and read that was like so believable that I can't imagine it being bullshit. You know?
Yeah. No, I totally know, and I believe, Bob, there's a lot of people in this community that don't.
Really? No, I believe him. I believe him for sure.
I totally believe him, and I think it's um there's just some weird things that happen. You know,
Yeah.
I come from a journalism background. And George Knapp, the reporter, who is
Yeah.
like a hero of mine, he put his career on the line for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it paid off. And there's no way that if that story was false in any way, KLAS in Vegas, where Knapp works, has never retracted the story. They've never fired George Knapp, and that to me tells a lot to the truth of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And just that, like Bob Lazar, like why would that guy make it up? You know, like it doesn't make sense.
Oh, it ruined his life.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like he made money from it. It probably made his life worse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the
Yeah.
same thing as the Sasquatch video that Patterson and Gimlin filmed in 1967. Bob Gimlin, who's now like 94, 95 years old, says now, like it took him a long time to accept what they filmed, and he said if he could do it all again, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have released the film because it literally ruined his life.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
You know? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. It's very weird, but yeah, it's that's a good one.
When was your most recent abduction?
Hmm.
And when you say abduction, you mean was it an experience or abducted like they took you? Or took you? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what defines an abduction really.
There was God. Sorry, I'm watching the clock here. We only got like 35 seconds.
Okay, we can catch up in the next.
Let me. I get them kind of confused sometimes.
Okay.
I'll get it for you here. But just give me until the next break, then I'll bring that down for you, man. Big
Sure.
thank you to Xavier. Merry Christmas to you, buddy. And at Jarhead for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. You can get your SOR swag by going to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. That's where we have all of our awesome t-shirts. Here we go with the second half hour, everyone. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Really do appreciate your time. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Haunted Everest. Mountaineer Nelson Dellis is here to share his extreme story and the strength and the magnitude that he has to keep on fighting. This is something that he wants. I think he's going to get it one day. Nelson's website, nelsondellis.com. Nelson, welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Not a problem, my friend. Not a problem. Okay, you started focusing on Everest, right? Literally, when you were about to, or when you finished climbing Denali in Alaska and McKinley and Rainier, and you knew you had to do this. You just knew. You know, how did you even know what to do or how to get to that point?
No, not really. I'd read a bunch of books about, some of the famous expeditions, notably the 96 strategy, where kind of the first commercial expeditions kind of shit hit the fan and a lot of people died. But I knew that it was possible. I knew that there were, at that point, in the early 2010s, 11, that there were companies running trips, and you pay. It's quite expensive because the government charges a lot for a permit, and you're there for a few months. So the logistics cost a lot: food, gasoline, and your tent, the Sherpas, all that porterage of all your bags and gear, whatever. All that costs a lot. So I was like, okay, obviously I'm going to have to spend some money. I need to start saving up. And it was the right time because I had, like I said, I moved back with my parents and was working to kind of erase some debt that I had. And I actually worked so hard that I was able to pay off all the debt, but save a ton as well. A lot went my way. I was very frugal with everything because I had this one goal in mind, and that was Everest. And, I asked for support from my friends, family, to do this, and I got some support. Most of it was paid for by myself. Surprisingly, I never thought I'd be able to pay for something like that in my life. But I was able to kind of get those ducks in a row. And yeah, I trained really hard as best I could from my home after these climbs. And yeah, I kind of got myself there. And I think a big part of it was, it's easy to talk about big, lofty goals like that, like, oh, I'll climb Everest one day, right? But I told myself I'm climbing Everest, next year, which was going to be 2011. And that was what I told people when I met them. It's like, hi, I'm Nelson. I'm going to climb Everest next year. Like that was a fact. And I maybe didn't have all the money or the logistics figured out yet, but I knew I was going to figure it out. I'd have to, because I kept telling people I was going to do it. So it was kind of this like affirming thing by telling people that I was going to do it and kind of making it my goal.
Okay, so you set your mind. You're like, I'm doing this. Nobody's going to stop me from doing this. By golly, it's one of those things that I'm going to accomplish in life. I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy. What kind of training did you do leading up to that?
Yeah, so I live in Miami. I've lived most of my time in Miami. I was in Miami at the time there. And for those of you who know this place, there's no mountains. There's no snow. There's nothing. There's beaches.
You have lots of sharks. Let's just be honest.
You have sharks. Yeah, beautiful waters. And there's bridges. There are bridges that are pretty tall, I guess. But no, so a lot of my training actually, was not altitude training or anything mountain related, unfortunately. But that actually doesn't matter too much. My experience on the mountains I had climbed before, especially McKinley, I felt really confident in my ability to climb at high altitude, because that's often a concern is, you can be fit, but how is your body going to respond to the altitude? there's usually a correlation between your level of fitness and the way you perform up there, but it's not always that way. I've seen people who are, triathletes, Ironmen, kind of lose steam and have to quit expeditions on Everest. And you see another guy who just doesn't look like he works out at all, drinks beer all day, and he summits. So it's and he has no problem with the altitude. So it's hard to say definitively what is the secret sauce to allow someone's physiology to perform well at altitude. But that's something that I obviously couldn't worry about in Miami. So I just worked on the things that I knew I'd need to be strong in, which is I'm climbing up a mountain, so legs, carrying a big heavy pack most of the time. So putting stuff on my back, good core strength, not really needing much arms, but yeah. So just working on exercises to help strengthen that, and then also my cardio, doing longer kind of endurance workouts to kind of mimic the long climbing days you get up on the mountain.
Did you talk to or interview anybody regarding Everest, what it was like before you decided to do this?
No, I don't think so. I read a lot of books. That definitely helped. And I think even from the previous climbs I had done, which wasn't that many, but on Mount McKinley, our guides and the guides that I met on other teams had experience, and some had been on Everest. So some of the conversations I had through that, and some of the contacts I kept because of those trips, I definitely reached out and asked a couple of things here and there. But I just read a lot. I did a lot of research, watched a lot of videos, and that was it.
So you decide to do this. Your family thinks you're crazy. Your friends think you're nuts, but they can, brag about it because that's what friends do. We all know how it works. It's like locker room type humor. And then you decide to get on that airplane and make your way over. What was going through your head?
Yeah, I remember it very vividly. Leaving from Miami, I had a layover in Richmond, I think, then London, then New Delhi, and then, yeah, Kathmandu. And I was young, man. I was, 20, 28, 29, and I was going to climb Everest. I just felt like I had nothing else of importance in my life, and it was just me and that experience. It was awesome. And I just felt so lucky that I had this opportunity to be able to do this. Even now, like I look at Everest in the news and the past few years, there's a lot of crowds. There's always been quote unquote crowds, but back in 2011, like I should have recognized it then, but there weren't really that many people. And I was one of those people, like enjoying this beautiful peak. Not all to myself, but kind of all to myself. And it was super special that first time.
Okay, so when you get there, or before you go, there had to be a lot of worried people around you, considering there was just all of those massive deaths with the avalanche and the weather changing back in, I believe, 1996. I mean, the dangers are very much highlighted on Everest as a killer mountain. I mean, were there people, including your family, trying to convince you not to do this?
Sure, yeah. And, there was actually another, 2006 was also not a great year for Everest, which was more recent, to 2011. And even 2008, the Chinese closed the Tibetan side because of the Olympics. It was in Beijing that year. So there was like a lot of questions, instability and concerns. And one of the things that I remember to kind of get excited for the trip and to really scope things out was there was a show on Discovery Channel called Beyond the Limit. I think was it called Beyond the Limit Everest, and it followed an expedition for a couple seasons. And yeah, I remember watching that and showing my family and my girlfriend at the time, and they were like, "Why are you showing this to us? It's not making me feel any better." Because some guys got in some problems that was So people died on the show, not from the show, but people on the mountain died during that season. And yeah, they were definitely worried. There were a lot of tears when I left, and even on the phone calls that I had while I was out there. But my parents especially were super supportive, given that their son just wanted to go and throw himself at Everest. I can see how that must have been hard for them, but they were supportive. They were excited for me.
Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio about Mount Everest. You all of a sudden land in Kathmandu. How do you get to the mountain from there?
Yeah, so Kathmandu is the capital of Nepal. It's a bustling little city. Oh, well, it's a big city, but it's compact and well trafficked. Most of the tourists stay in this one area where there's a lot of kind of climbing shops and nice little restaurants. It's a cool little vibe, but it's quite polluted, and like I said, it's dense. So within a few days, you're kind of like, this is nice, but I want to be in the mountains right now. You're actually wearing masks or a buff covering your face because the air is so dirty, and you just crave that mountain air. So from Kathmandu, after a few days of kind of checking your gear, meeting your team, and all that, you go to the airport. You take a flight. It depends which side you're climbing from, but if you're climbing on the Nepalese side, you take a kind of an hour flight on a prop plane to a town called Lukla, which is in the Everest Valley, and that's kind of where you stage your trek into base camp. That's kind of the first stage of this climb.
Okay, so you land at Everest. You don't know a soul who you're going with at this time. Am I correct?
No. Yeah, I mean, I kind of connected with a few on social media, but they were strangers to me, But I think our team was around 13 people, plus our main guide, Tim, a Canadian guy, actually lives out in BC. And then our team of Sherpas, who I didn't know, but, I was getting to know them.
Okay, so basically you're alone. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
alone with strangers whom you've never met, but you know that you are going to place your life in their hands, and they're going to place their lives in your hands, even though this is an individual trek. That's a lot of responsibility, man.
Yeah, but that's this world of climbing. It's the people who I hired or who I was joining as a team. We all know this, and there are different kind of expeditions companies. Some that are like super hands-on. You pay like a super premium price to get like handheld, not literally handheld, but figuratively. And then there's others that are a little more hands-off, and they cost a little less because you're not getting that, tender loving care as much. And obviously I had a budget, but also I didn't want to be handheld. So the company that I went with was just the right, was the right temperature of porridge, right?
Right.
There was enough help to kind of, obviously I was new to this in a way, to get me to the places I need to help support me, but also, on the climbing days, I could go with a Sherpa that had been assigned to partner with me, and that was it. We'd go at our pace and meet the rest of the team at the next camp when we got there. So yeah, we're all aware of what we're getting ourselves into. Well, most people are. Yeah, I definitely was.
Okay, so you get to base camp, you meet all of these Sherpas. What is base camp like, and what's it like having all of these Sherpas around? Because you're putting your life in their hands as well. They know this mountain back and forth.
Yeah, so so the Sherpa are the kind of locals, the local tribe, you could call it, I guess, from that region, and they are mountain people, and the Sherpas that actually work on the mountain as climbing Sherpa, it's really what do you call it? A highly regarded position or career that someone in the valley can attain. And it's not easy for them. They have to go to school, climbing school. they have to kind of earn their way to be a climbing Sherpa. And so these guys are some of the strongest, humble as well, people I've ever met, and they work so hard. And they're we're just there, us Westerners. We're just there. We paid money and we're kind of going up the mountain. It's hard, sure. It's a challenge, but it's nowhere near what these Sherpas are doing. They set up everything for us, and we wouldn't be able to climb it without them. So they have to be always recognized as the people that make Everest happen for anybody else.
It's amazing. Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. How real was it when you arrived in base camp?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was going to say is once you get to Lukla, where you land in the airplane, the prop plane, which actually you land in one of what they call one of the most dangerous airports in the world, because it's on the side of a mountain and it's slanted up because it's such a short runway. You have to have that angle to help break the plane from hitting the side of the mountain when it lands. But you hike into base camp. It takes 10 days. Partially because you take a couple days here and there to acclimatize. It's in certain tea house, in certain villages and tea houses that you stay in. So you're kind of climbing through this valley, going through these different zones. You start kind of going through the forests and gaining elevation. Then you get to kind of like, you start seeing the vistas with all these massive Himalayan peaks, and then it just becomes rock and glacier. And then, on the 10th day, you're going to base camp, and it's funny because you expect to see Everest, boom, right there, but really at the base of Everest, at least on that side, the Nepali side, you can't see the summit of Everest unless you're like at the right angle. It's not like prominently right there because it's kind of tucked away within all the sub peaks around it, and so you get there, it's kind of lackluster because you're like, well, where's Everest? But you do see this other feature of the mountain called the Khumbu Icefall, which is probably one of the most dangerous parts of the south side, just because there's so many crevasses, avalanches, and there's a lot of accidents that happen there throughout the season. So you see that menacing thing when you get to base camp. And it's kind of like a good reminder that it's not a cakewalk and of what's to come. But getting to base camp, it's an achievement in itself. And when you get there, your camp is kind of set up. You find your tent, and you kind of set up your little mini apartment in your tent for the next 2 months.
Why 2 months?
So nowadays though, actually that time is shortened a little bit, just because of kind of technology in how people run these expeditions and acclimatize. But back then, 2 months was pretty much what you put in your calendar. 8 weeks, maybe 7, 8 weeks. But basically, most people will go and climb Everest April and May of the year, just because the winds and the weather is kind of perfect for that. The monsoon season comes in just after that, and so right before is when there's like a pocket where the jet stream rises from the summit, which is pummeling the mountaintop most of the year long, except for those 2 or 3 weeks in May, because it's right before the monsoon comes in. And so basically we spent all of April acclimatizing, going up to Camp 1, coming back down, resting, letting our bodies acclimatize, then go to Camp 2 and kind of come back down. This whole process, we do that. Camp 3, come back down, and we do these rotations to help kind of build this to increase our red blood cell count and acclimatize better, so that when May comes around and the weather window, that pocket opens up, we can go straight to the summit. Which you have to go Camp 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can do it all in one go, one camp per day once you're acclimatized. So that whole first month is prep, acclimatization, and then the second month is waiting for the weather window. And sometimes you're lucky, you're early. It could be the first week of May, but it's still a bit cold. But usually the best and most common timeframes to summit are the end of May, sometimes even early June.
Incredible. We've got about 3.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight. That first time you went up to, I believe, what is it, stage 4?
Yeah, Camp 4.
Camp 4 there. What was that like for you on your body?
Yeah, let me put myself there because I've been there a few times. But the first time, I think I felt fine because I know that I tried to memorize some things. Like we were in our tent and I immediately wanted to memorize a deck of cards. So I couldn't have felt that bad. But I know that I was definitely exhausted, but I was so young and spry. Like I remember feeling like, oh man, we're gonna leave in just a few hours for the summit. I got this. I'm so pumped. I'm so jacked. I could jump out of this tent right now and go. So I was tired, but I was just so much more excited and exhilarated just to get this opportunity to summit in just a few hours.
Okay, so here you are. You're sitting, getting your body ready, getting your lungs ready and acclimatized for that. Do you think about what has gone on in the past? There's the bodies on Mount Everest. There's, the famous green boots that you're going to pass here in the next little bit. Do you start thinking about that? How do you keep that out of your head?
It's an interesting thing because obviously leading up to the expedition, like when I was in Miami, and even after and even now, like I think about the risk and the dead bodies that I've encountered or that I would have or have and didn't realize. But when you're there, when you're on the mountain, at least for me, my experience is you don't, I never did. I never really registered the gravity of the risk and what was happening around me. Even as things kind of fell apart, as we'll get into, like didn't really fully register. Like, shit, I'm dying. I'm close, to that line. And even going through like the Khumbu icefall, where it's an avalanche or an ice block could just crush you in a moment. Notice, you hear everything, the ice moving around you and avalanches around you, but you don't register it the same. It's just like, okay, keep moving. I'm here in my body, going, I'm moving, and that's kind of it. It's a really strange feeling.
I can never imagine it, and just hearing you say that gives me the absolute chills because you really have to be prepared for death, as we have about 40 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I'm not ready for that, and I wasn't then, but I guess I didn't think it would happen to me. I don't know how to explain it more than that, but I vividly remember hearing avalanches around me and just not really reacting, in a troubling way. And any other circumstance, I'd be like, oh shit, that can kill me. Yeah.
Yeah, that would suck. Just to be honest, that would kind of suck. But I mean, hey, at least you go out doing what you want to do, and not a lot of people get that. But when we come back with you, Nelson, I want to, from the last time we interviewed you until now, there's a lot of profound questions that I have for you. But we're going to learn what it's like to almost die on Mount Everest when we come back. Well, boy, that's a nice transition into hour 2. Yes, NelsonDellis.com is his website. This man is a legend, a hero, and my favorite interview ever on this show.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. More Spaced Out Radio coming up. All right, my friend, we're clear. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, yeah.
All right, we got about 6 minutes.
What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, We're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
All right, buddy, I'm back.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. And I got to ask one favor, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because this is going out on terrestrial radio, I got to cut down on the shits.
Oh, damn. Okay, my bad.
That's okay. That's okay. I don't mind editing you. Usually I don't like it, but you're kind of special. And I'm kind of geeked out right now.
Okay. Yeah, I forget. Yeah, if you're on YouTube, it's preferable not to have that stuff. I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, my shows are all not rated for children, so it's all good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. YouTube, I don't care. But one other thing I have to do, because my daughter Lane is listening right now, and her friend Blake. And Blake, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like you, okay? Because I don't like any boy my daughter hangs out with. It's the dad in me, okay? And Blake, if you ever come over to my house, no eye contact. Remember the rules, okay? No eye contact with me. But happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, and I hope you have a good one. And, yeah, I don't like you. So we'll just leave it at that. Happy birthday, and thank you for listening. So, yeah, I have rules, man. So you're lucky you don't have daughters.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, man, I would not like that if I had a daughter. Thank God I have boys.
Yeah, because immediately Blake, right there. I'm glaring at you. Don't look. Anyways, yeah, it's tough because my daughter is beautiful. Both my daughters are beautiful. And
how old are your kids?
My 21-year-old lives down on the coast. My 17-year-old is in her bedroom right now listening. She's smart as anything. Hopefully she'll join the Canadian Air Force and become a pilot.
Cool.
And she's like, "No, Dad, no." And I'm like, "Yes, dear, yes." But that's an argument we continue to have, and that way, because that's my dream, and I know I can't allow her to live my dream, but yeah. So she's just gorgeous and everything, and yeah, I think the world of her. And then we have our 7-year-old son, because we're a blended family, so
Okay.
it's really cool, really cool.
What does that mean, blended family?
Well, my daughter, my 17-year-old, is my stepdaughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we got like 10 seconds, and yeah, we're gonna do this hour 2 thing right now here, guys. Hold on.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Hi to everyone listening in across North America on our terrestrial affiliates and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mesozeugma. Mesozeugma is your password. I have no idea what that means, but the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight we talk what it's like to nearly die on Mount Everest. It's haunting. It's scary. It's a death trap. But our good friend Nelson Dellis, he's going to go for a 4th opportunity, and he is here tonight, the 4-time United States memory champion, good friend of this show. I still have the book of Yeti that you got for me, and I really appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. Nelson's website, nelsondellis.com. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got to say that book, it's directly from a awesome little bookshop in Kathmandu. I want you to know it's a legit book out in Nepal.
And you know what's funny is when I had you on the air last time, you didn't even think of the Yeti or anything paranormal up on Mount Everest.
No, yeah, we talked about it, and I kind of was stumped. I had never really kind of even thought about it.
Well, the plan is when you do go back, and I don't know if there has ever been a paranormal investigation at base camp, but for those weeks for those weeks that you're there, we are setting you up, man. So that way you could do that and film it for us and put it on your YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, and we could rock it, man. Because I think
I would love that.
I think you're gonna get some stuff. I totally think you're gonna get some weird stuff there, man. Totally.
I wouldn't be surprised. It's in a way it's a graveyard, you know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there.
All right, let's get into it. You're climbing Everest. You're up to base camp number 4, and you're about to make the push. What's going on in your head right now, outside of the adrenaline?
Yeah, so when we got to Camp 4, which is also known as they call it the South Col. Col, C-O-L. It's a Welsh word to describe kind of like a valley in a way. So you get to it's this crazy spot on the mountain, you know, for years until it was climbed in 1953 by the Brits. The expeditions before, you know, kind of a country would stage an expedition. The Swiss went the year before, the British before that, and it was kind of this race to see who could summit first. But nobody could really figure out what the best way to climb the mountain was. And the Swiss in 1952 found this feature on the mountain called the Geneva Spur. And they figured that if you went over it, there was this beautiful kind of flat little valley. Valley and flat doesn't make sense, but it is kind of flat in a way. But it's a great staging ground for a summit push, and this is what eventually became the South Col or Camp 4, and this is where all people climbing from the south side will put their high camp. And basically, once you get there, you barely even sleep because you're in this death zone, kind of at around 8,000 meters, 26,000 feet. And, you get to camp. There's a tent for you to kind of like get safe in your sleeping bag. And then that very night, usually if the weather's good, you leave to go for the summit. And, you leave in the dark. Depending how fast you climb, and the amount of people that are up there, like the lines you want to try to avoid, or the slow people that you might encounter, you might leave, at 10 p.m. or even 9 p.m. And so we actually had planned to go at 9 p.m., which was bizarre because the sun was setting. I could still see the glow of daylight in the very faint horizon, and we were getting ready to climb this mountain. So the whole night was kind of like set before us, and you're kind of climbing out the highest peak in the world in the dark. And so I remember I needed to go to the bathroom for whatever reason. I guess I was very nervous, like number 2, and it was freezing. And so I had to go in the vestibule of our tent, with my big down suit, my big boots on and crampons and everything, and it was not a pleasant experience. And I just had like really an upset stomach. But I was excited. It was just like I had definitely the nerves and wasn't feeling perfect health wise. But that altitude, that's kind of expected.
What's that feel like on the body, being up with that thin of oxygen?
Yeah, well, so I should say that I climbed or attempted Everest with oxygen, supplemental oxygen, which most people do. And the way it works is it's not like pure oxygen that you're breathing in, and without it you would die. It's supplemental. So it's supposed to help kind of like at 26,000 feet where you're at in the death zone, your body is wasting away. It's essentially dying. Because you can't acclimatize at that height. There's a certain height where your body just can't create more red blood cells, so it doesn't really improve. And so what the supplemental oxygen does is it kind of like, lowers what altitude you're at in a way. Not by much, but enough that maybe your body can hang on a little longer. So we're sucking on O's when we call it O's, oxygen. We're sucking on it at a high flow rate when we're chilling in the tent just before we're about to leave. So we're trying to get as much kind of oxygen in our body so it gathers strength, stays warm. And then when we start climbing, we lower the flow rate a little bit just to conserve oxygen. And so you don't feel horrible. I felt, like I said, I had a kind of a stomach issue. I was nervous. I don't like leaving in the dark. I just don't like that feeling. It's kind of ominous. The sun makes me feel better and more optimistic. So leaving in the dark, you're a bit nervous. You're a bit tense. You don't know what's to come. I've never been up higher than that point in that expedition. And yeah, but there's just a tremendous excitement too, because you're thinking to yourself like, wow, I'm gonna be standing on the summit in 8 to 10 hours from now. But in terms of how my body feels, other than my stomach issue, like every movement you do is tiring. Like just to squat down and do my business, or to like walk over here and put my backpack on. It's tiring. It takes tons of effort, and you breathe heavy, and then you got to like pause and kind of gather your breath, because every step, every tough movement requires you're breathing a mile a minute, and it's just it's killer.
The 8 to 10 hours, how far distance is that from base camp 4 to the summit?
Yeah, so from that camp, let's see, we're at 26,000 feet. The summit's 29,000 and change. Yeah, so it's like a 3,000 foot vertical that you have to climb. And it's not vertical, but the summit pyramid, they call it. You can kind of, from that staging area, the south call, you can see this triangle, the summit triangle that you have to climb up. And it's relatively steep. I mean, that's 3,000 feet in that little time is quite aggressive.
I mean, you think 3,000 feet, that's 3/4 of a mile, basically. And take 8 to 10 hours. I don't think many of us could even fathom that. But reality starts heading in at this point, because not only is your body being beat up, but now you start seeing the victims of Everest.
Yeah, well, you're in the dark, so not really. In a way, like like I said, it is ominous to climb in the dark, but it's kind of a blessing because you don't really see what you're doing, like the extent of what you're doing, the reality of it, because you have this headlamp that's lighting up, a few meters in any direction that you look, and that's it. Maybe I remember the stars were quite bright, the moon was out, so you could kind of see a little more, but essentially you're just in this little tunnel vision of you and what's in your immediate vicinity. But on the first part, there are a lot of bodies strewn about, and some that I wasn't even aware of until after. But I didn't notice any, at least until we got to a certain point up there near where I turned around. But yeah, they're there, and you're aware of that. Oh, wow, I'm missing a whole part of my story here. But there was a point where I hit not alive, but a fresh dead body that kind of changed everything. But we'll get to that.
Oh, that just gave me the chills. Green Boots is probably the most famous body up there. To this date, he has still never been identified. You had to go right by him, did you not?
Yeah, but this was that was in 2013.
Okay.
My second attempt on the other side. Yeah, the Green Boots. Green Boots is a feature on the feature. It was a person. A lot of people use it as a feature because you say if you pass Green Boots, X amount of meters left, that kind of thing. You know where you are on the mountain. But I don't think he's been identified. I think they know he was an Indian climber back in possibly the early 90s. I forget. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just, oh, wow. So you're passing bodies, you're heading for the summit, and now all of a sudden things aren't going very well.
Yeah, so the first kind of, I see the whole climb to the summit there in three sections. There's a kind of a 4-ish hour stint from the South Col, the Camp 4, to an area called the Balcony, which is like a little area the size of a small studio apartment that's kind of flat up this steep slope. And people usually pause there for a drink of water, refresh their oxygen bottles, kind of take a breather for a few minutes. And then you continue on up this, I'd say a little more rockier ridge. And that's another 4-hour thing, stint or so, until you get to the south summit / the Hillary Step. And then it's like another hour to the summit. So I got to the Balcony, no problem. I felt great. I had my electric foot warmers that were doing gloriously. My feet felt very warm. I was toasty. There wasn't much wind. Like I said, it was dark, but the stars and the moon was still out. So it was quite pleasant, and I felt great. My stomach issue kind of went away, and I was just climbing. I was in my element. We got to the Balcony. I plopped down, and the way it worked on our team is we got a 1-to-1 with a Sherpa. So I had my personal Sherpa that was helping, or who was climbing with me, and the rest of our team members were kind of going at their own pace, strewn about different points on this summit attempt. So we were kind of together at the beginning, but we kind of spread out. Some people were ahead, some people were behind. So I was at the Balcony with my Sherpa, kind of by myself, I took some water. He changed my oxygen. That's what the Sherpas do. They do that for us because they are way stronger than us, and that's kind of what their role is, at least in that moment. And my buddy Kevin, who was me and Kevin were kind of the faster people in our group, and he had gotten to the Balcony maybe 5-10 minutes before me, and he was like, gave me a pat on the back. He said, "We got this." We had our goggles on and our face mask. Like it's hard to tell who's who, but I could tell it was him. And we kind of gave each other a muffled, "Good luck, see you later, see you at the summit." And he went off, right? And I took a few more minutes, packed up my stuff, and we went on as well. And at that point, I had taken off my mask, my oxygen mask, to sip some water, and I put it back. And as we started to go up, I had to readjust and put my mask on. I realized that I couldn't breathe through it. Like I said, it's used to get supplemental oxygen into your system through this mask, but the mask was clogged somehow or malfunctioning. I couldn't get any air into it. It was just suctioning to my face every time I tried to breathe in, like someone was covering my mouth, and not letting me breathe. So I panicked, and I turned to my Sherpa, who was right behind me. I was like, I can't breathe. I think my oxygen's broken. And there was a language barrier issue. I didn't want to argue in the middle of all this. There's people trying to pass me, and it's dark. It was kind of a confusing situation, but I basically said, okay, I guess I'm just going to climb without my mask, and I kind of pulled it to the side and just continued up without the supplemental oxygen, which was a bad idea because my body was not acclimatized yet to that 8,000 meter level of oxygen. And so I went from having supplemental oxygen to basically none. At the same time, maybe 5-10 minutes after that moment, I see my buddy ahead of me, Kevin. He stopped. Him and his Sherpa have stopped, and I know this because I can see his headlamp. Just kind of a floating bulb, just staying there. And I get up to him, and I realize that part of the rope, there's a fixed rope that we guide ourselves on and we clip into as we go up the mountain. It kind of drops off to the side of this face that we're climbing up this ridge. And it's strange. It's only for about 10 to 15 meters. And he goes, be careful, there's a body right there. And I look down with my headlamp in the dark, and they're, pulling the rope down on this slope that goes down for 3,000 feet to the abyss. There is this body just frozen into the side of the mountain there, holding onto the rope. He was on his back, and he had removed a lot of his clothes, and he was frozen. He was dead, right? And I didn't know anything about this climber until later, but there he was. And at that moment, as I'm looking at this dead body, my Sherpa taps me on the shoulder and says, "Here, you got to unclip yourself from the rope and go across to the other side and connect to the other end where the rope comes back." And like I said, this was a ridge. So down where the body was almost a 3,000 foot drop into Tibet. And on the left of you was maybe another 1,500 to 2,000 foot drop into Nepal. And I have to cross this ridge now with no protection, not clipped in. And I've just seen the dead body really for the first time in my life like that. And my oxygen isn't working. So I was terrified. And, I'd said before that I don't really register the fear, but in this moment, I don't know if I registered the fear because I didn't freeze and not do anything, but I definitely was suddenly questioning, what the hell am I doing here? And why did that guy die? He's doing the same thing I'm doing, and there he is, right? I got across this ridge, I carefully walked across, clipped in, and we kept going. And luckily, after about another hour or so climbing up, my oxygen mask started working again. The issue had been that there was ice that had formed and was basically blocking or clogging the air from coming in. But it eventually melted as the moisture coming from my mouth kind of eventually melted it out. So it started to work again. But I think the damage had been done. And tell me if you want me to stop.
I'm just enthralled right now, and you keep giving me chills. Please go on. We got 4 minutes before we have to go to break.
Okay. Yeah, and then so eventually I started really questioning what I was doing. I felt a lot of the effects now of my lack of oxygen that I'd been climbing without because of my mask. And we got to this point, this fixture on the mountain called the South Summit. which is kind of the next spot where you sit down and kind of change your oxygen. And that's when I sat down and realized that I was in a bad state. I remember sitting down and my Sherpa was changing my bottle. He later told me that he blasted my oxygen up to the highest flow because I wasn't really responding the way I should have been. And yeah, I just sat there, and I'm pretty sure I could have just have sat there forever and not moved again. Yeah, a couple things kind of happened inside of me, and my Sherpa kind of helped and change that. We can get into that in the next half hour, but yeah, that was my kind of my big crazy experience with a dead body for the first time on Everest.
How do you get down? Because you're starting to panic. Your Sherpa is now recognizing the signs, and it's now or never to try and get you back down so you don't become a statistic.
That's the thing, right? Like, everybody is aiming for the summit, but the summit is halfway. You got to have energy to come back down. And this was, of course, something that I had been thinking about as I started to get into this situation where I really felt weak and tired. Do I keep going? And we had a conversation as I was sitting there. I said, how much more to the summit? And he said 3 hours. I don't know why he said that, because it should have been an hour, but maybe he was making that judgment based on my sluggishness, And I said, yeah, I don't know if I have 3 hours. I need those 3 hours to go back down and survive. And so I stayed up there for quite a while trying to figure out what I was going to do. Did I want to give up on my dream? Did I want to push and risk even more? So I actually walked out to the Hillary Step, which is quite close. It's another kind of rock feature that's just before the summit ridge. And I came back because I changed my mind. And then I went back again and I changed my mind. And this was probably the moment in the night where it was the coldest and the darkest. It was like 3 a.m. It's always much, much colder right before the sun rises. And it was at that point, and I was just like, I felt like I was in another, like, outside of my body, kind of watching Nelson kind of fuddle about it and try to make this life-saving decision for himself.
When did you make the choice to come back? We have 1 minute.
Yeah, after kind of going back and forth a little bit there, I don't know. It was hard to describe what made me change suddenly, but I suddenly felt myself snap back to reality a little bit. And I said, yeah, I need to go down now. My Sherpa wasn't super happy. A lot of them are, their tips are based on summiting. And I told him, listen, you'll get your tip. Don't worry. I can't do this. I don't think I'm going to make it if I go up and then have to come back down. Maybe I'll summit. I think I could summit, but coming back down would be another story.
At that point, you're making a life decision.
Yeah. And I remember just thinking about my family and what I wanted to come home to. That was the important thing. I think that helped me snap out of it.
Well, we're going to get to more of this because your body started kind of shutting down on you on the way down, if I do recall, and we're going to learn what that's like. Nelson Dellis is our guest tonight, the 4-time United States memory champion. What's it like to almost die on Everest? We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right. Oh, God, you just give me the chills, man. The chills. Love
nice.
it.
Yeah, I haven't talked about this in a long time, man. Wow.
Oh, man. You bet. Once you summit, when you go back, and once you finally summit and do it, I'm telling you, man, you got to write a book on this. You have to.
I would love to. Yeah. I just got to find the right angle. A lot of people have written about Everest, and usually people who write about Everest are people who have climbed it. Most people who have climbed it are rich people who write really well. So I'm up against some competition, but I gotta find the right.
I will find you a ghostwriter. I know enough writers and authors, published authors. I will find you a ghostwriter.
You literally could find a ghost writer.
Probably.
Right? He'd be a ghost.
Probably. That's not out of the realm of possibility. You never know. I am a weirdo that way, my friend. I am a weirdo that way. But oh my goodness, your story, it scares me to so much of a level because it's so real. It is. Okay, I do have a question. Brian is asking in our chat room right now, what did they do with all the number 1s and 2s on Everest?
Very fair question. The number 1s, you just pull off to the side and pee in a spot where nobody's gonna take snow for water or sit or something. But up when you're pushing for the summit that's like the last thing you need. Make sure you're empty before you go. But it's not uncommon to pull over and just take a leak. Girls or women, will have often this little device. What's it called? A go grill. It's like a little funnel that they use to basically give them a little male part.
Yes.
So it's easy to pee wherever. But with poop, number 2, same thing. You kind of pop a squat, but you have a little doggy bag that you carry with you. And each of the major camps have kind of there's someone designated to kind of help with garbage. So, yeah.
Right on. That's kind of cool. Dude, when you saw that body on the ropes, hanging on the ropes, and I realize you're in a very precarious position. You're so close, yet here you are. Your life is in the hands of a dead man, to be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the picture. I have a picture of the ridge, and it wasn't that moment where I took the photo, but he is in the photo. It just freaks me out every time I see it, because it's just eerie.
Second. I'm trying to find that photo right now.
Did I send it to you ever?
No. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay. I see the spot there. Okay.
Wait, where? Which one are you looking at?
Oh, no, that's not the spot. I'm on Google right now, and I just typed in body hanging on rope on Everest Ridge.
Oh, yeah, it can't have been the only instance of that ever, but
holy cow.
I can send you some photos of what I'm talking about. It's hard to see, but it's this is definitely, I think it's there. I have to go back through this and double check, but yeah.
We got 1 minute here.
Okay. Oh shit. Yep, here it is. Fuck. How did I get that photo?
If you can send it to me, I can on Facebook. I could bring it up, put it on the screen for our YouTube people, if you don't mind. If you do mind, then we won't do that.
Yeah, I feel a bit weird. I've decided not to really put it out there.
Yeah,
I'll send it to you if you want to look at it, but I'd prefer not to share it.
Send it to me after the show, then. Send it to me after. Okay, here we go.
This is Michael.
Oh, one more commercial. I jumped the gun. So excited. So excited. All right. We got about 10 seconds. Thank you to Cat Chaser, Xavier, and Jarhead for the super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support from our great audience. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Here we go. Second hour of Spaced Out Radio, or second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Dave Scott here in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you for joining us. Remember that you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Nelson Dellis tonight, what it's like to almost die on Everest. Now, you're coming down the mountain here, Nelson, and things aren't going well. What's going on with you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still alive. My oxygen is working. I've lost quite a lot of feeling in my hands. I'm worried about frostbite. My Sherpa had an extra set of really thick gloves, which he gave me. They were helping a bit, but I was fumbling about going back down. That first section that I had to go down was very rocky, so you're relying a lot on the rope. And without the feeling in my hand, I couldn't really grasp it confidently. So I was stumbling a lot. I fell a lot, embarrassingly so, like I was drunk. And that's kind of what it's like up there. You're drunk at that altitude, or performing like somebody who's drunk. And remember, I'm on this full flow of oxygen, and that's still not really bringing me back to life completely. So yeah, it was scary, and you're in the dark, and there's people coming up still. So you have to kind of wait, let them pass, or clip your beaner around them so that you don't fall to your death. And you're trying to stay kind of with it as you do that, which is, I don't know, eventually we got to a point back to that balcony section, and there was just one more section back down, which was a few hours that the sun came up, a little less scary of a section, and I was exhausted. So, I'd sit down every, 10 to 15 meters and just kind of realize what had happened and where I was. And as I got lower and lower, you kind of come to a little bit because the oxygen is getting a little thicker. And the sun is kind of motivating you a little bit. You're getting warmer. But eventually I got back to my tent at the South Col again, and I just collapsed in my tent, cried. There was another climber in there, and a girl from our team who had turned around, and her body had just shut down, and in a worse way than I. She passed out, and she had already come back down and was crying as well. It was a whole emotional thing, and the thing is at the South Col, you can't quite stay there. So yes, we rested, but the plan is to rest and then go back down all the way. Just especially in my case, because I wanted to be safe and get my faculties back. So I had to, rest a little bit, but pack up and keep moving. But yeah, I was happy. I was super relieved when I got to that camp. It wasn't the end of the story, I had to still get down to the bottom, but I knew I was a little more safe at that point, and that I had kind of escaped this area where I knew that I was very close to going to the other side.
When you were looking death in your own eyes like that, you're losing oxygen, your body's giving out, everything is starting to shut down. What goes through your mind?
It's, and you hear this kind of thing, but it was peaceful. And it's interesting because with my memory stuff that I do, I'm very visual, and I've trained myself to be very visual. And the way I memorize things, I put myself in locations and imagine all sorts of things around me. It's very vivid. It felt like that. I found myself, as I was sitting there, just not moving, and my Sherpa was trying to give me more oxygen. I was somewhere else. I was, it was kind of like a mix of me floating above my body, but also I was back home. And I remember, it's so stupid, but I remember being by a fire with my family, or in the chimney, and just eating delicious chicken nuggets. But it was the most, it felt so real, like I was there, and was like pulling me in, super warm feeling, which was crazy because it was freaking freezing outside, and I was not there. And I'd snap back in and out, of that memory slash flash of imagination, whatever that was. And who knows, maybe that was me, kind of going in and out of different stages of existence. I don't know. It was definitely strange, but also peaceful and enjoyable in a way.
When I interviewed you the last time a couple of years ago, you told me something that was really eerie. You've done this 3 times, and we're going to get into the other 2, but that you would wake up in the middle of the night and literally have or hear Everest calling your name.
Yeah, well, yeah, in a sense, there'd be. Did I say that? I don't know. I know that I'd hear a lot of. Well, there were some weird things happening to me. One that actually happened. This is physical. That when you're sleeping at base camp or any of the camps, you hear the mountain creaking beneath you. The ice glacier / ice that you're on is constantly moving. It doesn't look like it when you're looking at it because it's a massive mountain, but it moves like 6 inches a day. So under your tent, which is on rock, but it's really ice underneath that, it's shifting. So you hear these cracks and groans, and some of them sounds like cracks and things snapping. But other times it's kind of like a weird groan, and this is probably what I was referring to. Sometimes you can kind of make out weird sounds coming from there that you may misconstrue or interpret as something saying something to you.
Right. I think when we talked last about that, you had said, like, I had asked you, or that you would dream about it, like after you got home. Like even going for, eventually you're going to go for a 4th try, or at least you hope to, and I hope you do too. No offense to your family and your beautiful wife, but I remember you specifically saying that that it was almost like the mountain was playing with your mind at times, itching for you to go back.
Yeah, I mean, Everest has this insane pull for me, and I dream about it all the time. I can't stop thinking about it all the time. My wife doesn't understand, but it's just something I can't explain. And even though I had such a scary experience, like I still want to go back. It has this allure to me that I'm super connected to it at this point. And part of it is, I want a summit. That's been a goal of mine for a long time, but also like I feel like I have a relationship with this mountain, and maybe it's toxic, maybe it's not, maybe it is a little bit, but it wants me back, and I want to be back there.
If you died on the mountain, would you want to stay?
Like my body there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a big, like, I've told my wife, if I ever die, or even forget about a mountain, just in general, like, I don't care what you do with my ashes or body. So, but on a mountain, I think it would be fitting that I just stay there. Also, I don't want people to risk even bringing me down. Like, that's why a lot of those bodies stay up there, is because, for one, the Sherpas were the only strong enough people to move those bodies. It's kind of taboo in their culture to mess with those bodies, especially since they treat the mountain like a goddess. So if you're going to mess with the goddess, that's not good. And secondly, you don't want to, it's hard enough for one person to move on the mountain. So imagine moving someone else, this frigid, 150 to 200 pound body, that is risking somebody, right?
Right.
Or multiple people who need to bring it down.
Because the bodies don't decay up there.
They don't. They stay quite preserved, which kind of makes this whole I saw a dead body even weirder and scarier, because most times when you see the body, this sounds like I'm taking a piss a little bit of these bodies, but it's not. It's really like this. It's like Weekend at Bernie's sometimes, like they're wearing glasses, they're wearing suits, down suits, and there they are. Their skin is kind of intact. Depends how many years they've been on there. If you can Google like George Mallory, who was arguably the first person who climbed Everest in the 1920s. They found his body in the late 90s, and he's face down. You can see his kind of like old tiny clothes, but there's patches of skin, and it's like bleached white. It's so bizarre. It's been in the sun for almost 100 years, but it's not. There's partial bone as well, like his skeleton, but you can see some of his skin too. It's crazy.
That's just so weird, man. So
Yeah.
weird in regards to that. But okay, so as you are planning now, you come back, you're disappointed. What makes you all of a sudden think that going up a second time is a good idea?
I don't think any of it's a good idea, but it's an idea that I have anyways, and it's something that I'm very bullish in that way. Like I have an idea and a goal, and I fail, I need to complete it. And especially, I knew that I was close. I knew that the issue with the mask was what kind of weakened me, and I later learned kind of a method to have fixed that issue. I just was inexperienced. I didn't know what was happening. My Sherpa didn't really help me that much, but I know how I would have avoided it if that happened another time. So I felt fairly confident that I could summit. Right, I was so close, 50 meters to the top, vertical meters. So I made another attempt. I decided to go the north side this time through Tibet. Why? Because part of me knew a lot of the south side and knew what to expect, and I wanted something new that I didn't quite know so much about, so that like I could endure the discomfort with a fresh mind. Like I felt like if I already knew what was to come in terms of discomfort, it would be more of a mental game because I know what's to come, versus something brand new. Like I don't quite know. I've heard about it. I've asked people. I've kind of seen videos, but I've never experienced it. So that experience will be new and fresh, and mentally might be easier. That was my thinking.
But it didn't go that way.
No, unfortunately, no. But I got to, where did I get to? Around 8,500 meters. So I'm talking meters and feet here. I don't know what that is in feet offhand, but the summit of Everest in meters is 8,850. So I was at 8,500. The weather in this case was just what killed it for me, this attempt, because it was so cold. The north side is notorious, especially on the summit ridge, for being super exposed and windy and cold, and it was. And ahead of me was this feature called the first step, and I saw a line of people, not a huge line, but when you're at that height and that's cold, you want to move. You don't want to stop and stand there, because that's when you get cold. What keeps you warm is often your body being heated up because it's exercising, right? It's moving. So if I stopped, I was going to get cold. And I looked at that queue of people and I was like, I'm going to be in trouble with my fingers, my digits. I don't want to lose those. So I turned around at that point, and I'd say that descent back to the high camp was probably scarier than the one in 2011. Yes, I was more with my faculties, and I had decided outright, hey, this is not worth losing fingers or toes. I'm going to go down. But at that point, I couldn't feel my hands or my toes, and I had to navigate down treacherous, kind of rocky section. And I remember like slipping all over the place and rock flying from under my feet. And there was one section where I stood on the slab and it slipped out from under me. And again, we're in the dark. So I kind of turned my head to see where this rock landed. And as it landed maybe 10 meters below me, poof, on what I see is a big down jacket. It's a dead body right there. And, imagine, you're just kind of trying to stay together, focus on the route, and you turn your head in the dark, and there's a dead body, like that your headlamp flashes on. Oof, yeah. So I remember seeing that and just like, wow, I got to stay with it. I got to really focus and just get down to safety. And I did, obviously, and that was kind of the only hair-raising thing that happened that attempt. But yeah.
There's over 200 bodies on Everest right
Sounds
now.
right.
And, there's still a great debate of whether or not that many of them should be brought down for pollution type sake. But when you are up there and you are focusing on your own climb, and then you see something that inhumane of dead bodies strewn around, I mean, that has to play with your psyche terribly in those conditions.
Yeah, it's really crazy what, that situation does to you, and what you believe in, and what you think is morally right or ethical. It's like, if you saw, I'll step back a second, because when I should mention this, in 2011, that body that I passed, after the fact, I learned who it was. It was a climber from a Japanese team, very experienced climber. He had climbed Everest a couple times already. He had climbed K2 and other big peaks, so he was experienced. He knew what he was doing. And we actually had tea with his team 2 nights before they left for the summit. I don't remember exactly who it was on the team, but he was from that team. And we heard stories of people that had tried to help him when he was still alive. He had sat down at that place where he kind of eventually slid down the mountain, but he had succumbed to cerebral edema, which is common to people who climb at that altitude, where your brain swells and you kind of go mad in a way. And people were trying to help him, give him some medicine, give him some dexamethasone, some adrenaline, and he was like fighting people and being irrational. And then eventually he took off some of his clothes, which typically happens to a lot of people right before they die from hypothermia. You think you're too hot, so you take off your layers when in fact you're freezing. Where was I going with that? I was talking about,
you were having tea with him, and now he's on the mountain.
No, but before that, we were talking about in relation to the previous attempt. I forget.
No,
there goes my memory.
No, yeah, memory champion here. No, but we were talking about the second time you went up. There's over 200 bodies on the mountain,
right.
And the focus you have to have, because that plays with your mind.
Yeah, right. So just like when you're up there, you don't like. It's every man for himself, and you got to recognize that these bodies, these people, knew what they were risking, and it's weird because in any other situation, it's kind of wrong and a bit taboo to have these dead bodies exposed like that, but it's such a raw and uninviting place that like there's no time for that. There's no effort for that, and you just got to accept that the people that are there, because they knew the risks that went into it. And I'm sure the families want the bodies down and stuff, but it's, again, you're risking so many other people's lives just for that. And they're on the mountain. Like, that's, I don't know what else to say about that. It's just a weird kind of dynamic at that point on the mountain.
With 3 minutes to go, and we're in the next half hour, or final half hour with you, we are going to get into your third attempt, where you're almost there and then your body gives out again. But before we go there has to be a real ego thing to be able to walk past all of these bodies. Or if you're climbing with someone and they're struggling, to say, hey, we'll see you in the next realm, man, because, I mean, literally, it's either them or you, is it not?
Yeah. Well, and maybe not so cut and dry, but definitely if you stop to help someone who needs it, your summit attempt is over, right? Um, and to a lot, I've never been faced with that situation. I've thought about it, and I feel like I'm the kind of person that would try to help someone versus selfishly try to summit. Again, I don't know, that hasn't happened to me, but there have been plenty of stories where that has happened. People pass other climbers who have sat down and look dead or show very little signs of life. And it's tough because, to a certain point, if someone is so far gone, for example, that Japanese climber who was, was fighting people off of him who were trying to help him. It's like, you're wasting your energy to help this person, and if you waste that energy, you could not summit maybe. It's a tough call. But again, you have to, I think the best way to approach it is, listen, people are putting themselves in this risky situation knowingly. And you're basically signing up to potentially have that happen to you. So you got to understand, like from one climate to another, that this is what this cutthroat remote part of the world is like. That being said, it still feels wrong to say what I'm saying, but it's just such a hard thing to explain if you've been up there and understand the politics and the game that's going on that part of the mountain.
And that's what it is. I mean, if you're forking over $40, $50, $60, $100,000, and you see someone who is in front of you and on the verge of death, it's horrid to think that decision could be made.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you don't want to even think about it, and I hope I don't have to ever encounter that. I'd like the pure experience where I'm climbing, everything's fine, I get to the summit and come back down, and there's no kind of situations like that. But that's, you never know. I've climbed with a lot of people who have been in situations like that, and they've helped. Some haven't. It's hard to make a judgment on someone and that decision they make, because I can understand both sides. Yeah,
I can just hear it in your voice, the struggle you have with that.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm saying this, I sound like a cold person, but and I still think that I would help someone if that was something, because that's just who I am. But yeah, it's a tough thing,
Wow. I don't know, but in hour 3, well, we're going to kick it off. Nelson is going to tell us about his third attempt at Everest, but this time his lungs almost give out, if I'm correct.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. See, I got a good memory for you, man.
How did you do, man? I'm surprised.
Me too. It's, Canadian cold up here, and I'm surprised it's working. But, we're going to get into that here. And, will he go for a fourth attempt? Now that there's a wife involved, a home, a mortgage, 2 children, a dog, maybe a cat eventually, and a goldfish named Bob. I don't know, but we're going to find out. NelsonDellis.com is his website, for the 4-time United States memory champion, a great friend of Spaced Out Radio. Coming up right after this. All right. I'll be right back. I just got to run my dogs out, okay? Got about 6 minutes.
I see tonight. What to do, what to do.
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajons.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world. relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Tribe and Tribe Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little different. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Tribe Charities, just go to tribecharities.org/donate.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightline Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio,
right, buddy,
you know
I'm back.
Little Brother is Watching.
Okay. Cool.
Oh man, thank goodness my dogs are quick tonight.
Hey, where's the other episode? Did you remove it?
No, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
I'll send you a link. Hold on. Let me just go here. There it is. Copy. There. I sent it to you on Facebook.
Okay, let me check it out. It'd be interesting to listen back and see how if anything changed or anything, you know?
You do what you got to do, man. I'm just happy you're here.
Fair enough. July 5th, 2018.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool. We got about 90 seconds here.
Okay.
All right. We got to ask you a couple of questions here before we come back. We ask all of our guests this now.
Okay.
And the audience wants to know, and I don't know why they're addicted to this, but they are. Does Nelson Dellis eat breakfast foods for dinner?
Wait, say that one more time. You cut out.
Does Nelson Dellis eat breakfast foods for dinner?
Oh, interesting question. It has happened. Not often. My breakfast foods, to me, that means like eggs and bacon and stuff. I'll make an egg-related dinner sometimes, Other times I do like when I'm not eating very well, but I usually try to eat well, is sugary cereal with milk. So I'll snack on that sometimes.
All right. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Remember the movie?
Yeah, vaguely. I saw it when I was younger, but yeah, I know the.
Okay,
the basic idea.
Devil's Tower, where they land, where the UFOs land. All right.
Okay.
Are you on believing that it's a big rock, and are you on Team Rock, or do you think it's an old tree stump, and you're on Team Stump?
Oh man, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I'd say it's a rock.
All right. 0 for 2, man. 0 for 2. Hold on. Here we go.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across the continent and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. Remember, you can find all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Mesozeugma. Mesozeugma is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce four-time United States memory champion Nelson Dellis and his climb for Everest, how scary it could be. He's almost died twice there. We're going to get into that second time now. Nelson's website is nelsondellis.com. My friend, welcome back.
Yep, thanks again.
Third time, supposed to be a charm, but for you, it didn't work.
No, not a charm. Yeah, so, after my second attempt where I decided to turn around because of the weather, it was kind of not really my fault. I wanted to try it again because I didn't give it a proper chance. So I went back in 2016, back on the south side, which was where I went in 2011. And the idea here was like, you know what, I'm familiar with both sides now. Let me maybe go to the side that I was closer to summiting on. And actually in between my 2013 attempt and 2016, I actually had lung surgery because I developed a what do you call it? Pulmonary. It was technically called a pulmonary infarct, which is dead tissue in the lung, and that came from an embolism that I had kind of unknowingly, strangely enough, and it's like a blood clot that potentially could have ruined my life. Well, I guess it did change my life, but anyways, I had to have it removed. My lung capacity kind of was hindered for a while, and 2016, I don't know if I was fully back in full force yet. Anyways, I had a bunch of sponsors that year to help fund the trip, and I made a lot of promises of what I was going to do. I was carrying this massive 3D VR camera, a Nokia camera that weighed like 25 pounds. And I was just kind of reckless that trip. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I didn't treat it with the same respect as my other climbs did. And, I had the sponsors on my mind, not my personal goal on mine. So I think that got in the way. And, I climbed carelessly. I climbed fast. I didn't climb patiently enough. And I think that, combined with my issue in my lung that wasn't completely resolved, I got to the high camp again, 8,000 meters, and felt fine until the night. We were sleeping there actually an extra night because the weather was so bad. We had to wait. I was coughing. I was going through fits of coughing, and through the night, I was spitting up a lot of stuff, and that stuff was covered in blood, and it was parts of my lung. So that frightened me, scared me. I don't want to mess with that, but that was definitely the early start of pulmonary edema, which is where your lungs fill with fluid and eventually you drown to death. The two killers at high altitude like that are cerebral edema and pulmonary edema. And they're not things you mess with because they just get worse really fast. So the best way and the only way to improve your situation is to go down back to thicker air, lower altitude. So I immediately the next morning told my guide, I actually kept the pieces that I had been coughing up and I showed him. I was like, this came out of me. And he said, yep, let's go down. So that was kind of the end of it. It wasn't as crazy of a near-death experience, but it was one of those things where you're like, yeah, if I'd stayed there, that would have escalated really bad. And to put it in perspective, there was another guy on our team who was coughing very similar, the same way that I was. And he summited. He stayed there. He summited, but he collapsed on the way down and had to be rescued in quite a dramatic fashion. And people thought he was going to die up there. Somehow he made it, but he had pulmonary edema that got drastically worse over the next 12 hours, 14 hours, and he almost died. And he put a lot of people at risk. And it made my decision a lot easier after that because I was like, okay, I'm happy I made that call. I didn't put really anybody at risk, and my situation didn't get very bad.
As a climber, mountaineer, do you read up on the stories of people being stranded up there, or the stories of people walking by when they're still alive, but they may need some help getting down? Do you follow that quite critically?
Sure. Yeah. I hear about them all the time. I'm kind of fascinated with those weird stories because it's such a dilemma, that you wonder what the people who had to kind of experience that, who maybe survived, or people who actually had to pass those bodies or people, what's going on in their mind. That kind of fascinates me in a way.
Is that healthy to think about that, though? That, because you go through everything, and I know we touched on this just a little bit ago, but I mean, there's the thrill of getting to the summit, the ego of getting to the summit, but there's also the ego of, saying to hell with fellow man, this is about me, myself, and I.
Yeah. And I wonder sometimes what the difference is between me and some of these people I see that attempt Everest once and summit, right? And I've clearly turned around 3 times, mostly on my accord, right? Like, I mean, the first time I really had to get to a dark place before I did that, but I decided, it was me that decided to go down, and same with the other 2 times. And I question whether what it takes for me to summit to be more selfish, I've been very cautious. I think that's why I'm still alive today. I do think that my physiology is not the best for mountaineering. I'm really tall. I have poor circulation. I don't think that's the best. And so I'm fighting a lot of, uphill battles to get to this mountain, to peak. And, I wonder if I have what it takes naturally and what I'll have to dig into to kind of get those final X percent, of the mountain completed. So, but I think the often the people who summit, boom, bada bing, done, one try, are definitely people who are me, I got this, big egos, which I don't think that's horrible. That's their prerogative, that they want to come climb Everest and do it that way. And I'm not saying that I don't have any of that at all. I definitely have a selfish side of me. This whole mountaineering thing is very selfish. But I think I've been more cautious than other people. And here I am without a summit, but here I am with all my fingers, and I'm alive,
Yet you want to go back.
Yeah, because like you said, it calls me, man. I can't. I feel incomplete. Uh, it's kind of consumed my life in a bad way. Um, I wish I could move on. I can't. I don't know how to. I've tried. Um, with my family and wife and everything, it's just like I don't know, it's sometimes hard for me to even fathom how I'm going to do that. But a part of me knows that I have to do it. Um, so it's tougher now. I kind of wish that I had really tried harder back then, so I wouldn't have to make this decision now. But we'll see.
You're struggling with that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because there's the selfish side which just says, yeah, just do it. Like my family loves me, they support me. My wife is a babe, and she can, help me get my dream done by supporting the family while I'm gone. But the other part of me is like, I know that in the situation that saved my life the first time, where I was thinking of my family, which was just my parents, and my sister and brother, that's what made me come back. Like, am I going to be more risky with 2 kids now? Heck no, right? I'm going to be less so, which kind of frightens me, because it's like, well, then why am I going to try? Because maybe I'm going to be so cautious that I'm not even going to give it my all. And I don't want to do it if I'm not going to give it my all. So I don't know. It's but there's a lot of things that can go differently on Everest in terms of weather, how I'm feeling, how I acclimatize. Like, it could go a lot easier, a lot better. And then there's really no feeling of risk because it's going so smoothly, in which case there's no problem. But you just don't know, yeah.
Absolutely eerie. Absolutely eerie. And if you were to go again, would you go the Chinese side or the Nepalese side?
Yeah, I think I go back to the Chinese side. It's been quite a time since I've been there, and something about it always felt kind of historically more interesting. It's a little more Wild West out there. And the experience that you get on the mountain is just so stunning. You see the whole mountain the whole time, and just the features that you get to experience, I think, are ridiculous, insane. Yeah,
That is absolutely incredible. So now that you're older, okay, because I mean, every year the body takes a toll in age and flexibility and
sure.
and everything. So now that you're older, how does that change for you if you decide to go back?
Yeah, I'm definitely older and have more aches and pains. But one thing about mountaineering I found is it's really an older man's game, I think, or a woman, older person's game. And I think, like, you'll find that there's very few, or there's more people in their 40s, 50s, 60s doing these high altitude peaks. Well, maybe that's because they have the funds to do it, but it's more common to see people summit Everest or climb Everest at an older age. And I think that a big part of it is that they have the patience and the life experience to kind of tolerate the pain and the discomfort for longer and more patiently. So I definitely feel that. Like, when I was younger, when I did my first attempt, I wanted to be the first to the next camp. I was like racing people, it's like, I just wanted to get it over with, get there, and that was it, But now I know that I'd be a lot more calm, collected, take my time, and I'm okay with that, right? And I think that's definitely an age thing. So I think I'd have that going for me, and I think that's more important, more valuable as a skill set to potentially summit the mountain than having younger bones and muscles.
If you weren't to make it on a 4th attempt, would that be it for you?
That's the conversation with my wife. That's the one. because it's like she's down, but how many more times is she down? I don't know. And I don't want to just keep doing this, but at the same time, I want to do it. So this is really it. Like I'm gonna do it. That's kind of, there's no question. I'm gonna summit.
I think you're gonna do it too. I have a good feeling.
Thank you
about that.
Thank you.
And we're going to send you some positive energy. But the cool thing about it, and we touched on it a little bit earlier, not much, as we only got about 8 minutes left with you, is the fact that there is the potential of serious paranormal activity at base camp with everybody who has passed away on the mountain or has, decided to travel there with their soul, in the afterlife, wherever it may be. And you have an opportunity to potentially do that.
Yeah. I've never had an experience like that. So I can't speak firsthand of whether I fully believe that kind of thing exists. But I've heard stories from other climbers, and there is an eerie element to base camp and that mountain, and knowing the history and that all those bodies live on the mountain. I'd be curious. Yeah, I'd definitely be interested to check that out with whatever you guys provide me or guide me with.
Oh, we're definitely going to get you some training. That is for sure, because I want that. I want that real bad. That's my selfish part to all of this, by the way. That's my selfish part.
No, I bet. I get it.
But I remember the first time that we had you on the air, you really hadn't looked into the entire aspect that the Himalayas and Mount Everest in that area also has the legend of the Yeti, especially even around base camp, with photographs of footprints being taken in 1951. So I'm curious, going back now to base camp eventually, is that something that piques your curiosity?
A little bit. There was, like you said, back in the 50s, like I think Edmund Hillary, who climbed it in 1953, claims to have saw something, or they had like a scalp, but which is, I think it's either the skull or the scalp is held in one of the monasteries around there. But I thought it was proven to be just like goat scalp or something like that. There's been pieces of things found that look like a finger or hair or whatever, but all DNA samples that have been taken, I think, have been shown to be like human or some other kind of known animal. But there's still a lot of tales and accounts of people seeing strange creatures out there in the mountains. So who knows? I've never. It's tough because out there it's tough for things to survive. When I'm at base camp, aside from humans, the only other living thing you really see are ravens. That's it. And there are, supposedly snow leopards, but they're so rare to see. And there's like, what are they? They're not marmots. They're little like squirrel things you can sometimes find in the valley. Or these like little pheasant birds. But like to imagine that there's some kind of bigger kind of abominable snowman, Bigfoot kind of thing would be hard to imagine. I don't know, but I wouldn't rule it out. I think those things are interesting to think about and hope for. It'd be fascinating, but I don't know.
Well, the last footprints that were found were in 2019.
Oh, really?
Of the Yeti.
That
yes.
recent. Do you know where? Does it say where exactly?
I'm just looking here. It was found by the tracks were found by members of the Indian Army Mountaineering Expedition Team.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just looking here where they were in the Makalu Barun National Park.
Got it. Makalu. Yeah. Okay, that's the 5th largest peak. It's right around the corner from Everest. Yeah.
Yes, and apparently there was some major tracks. Well, they got photos of it too. I mean, that's pretty amazing. These tracks are like,
Interesting.
yeah, incredible. Because I would love for all of a sudden, you know, you're walking along, you know, you got your frisbee going, doing your little paranormal investigation for Spaced Out Radio on Everest Base Camp, and all of a sudden you come across a 21-foot or 21-inch footprint in the snow. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I'd be geeked out over that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Who wouldn't? That would be insane. Yeah, I'm looking at these pictures too. Interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Wow.
When you're at base camp, is there any weird stuff that is talked about? Because it's just, at night, it's just you and the stars. I mean, you could probably count satellites. You ever hear of UFOs or anything there?
UFOs, no. Not that I've heard. And I don't know enough about encounters to, you know, or is it more likely that they are near places that have, you know, more activity? Because at base camp, you know, it's in the realm of where you are. There's really not much going on. There's not much light. There's not much radiation. You know, it's. So I don't know. I've never seen anything. I don't know anybody that's seen anything like that. But my guide that we used in 2013, I don't know the details anymore, but he told us over a drunk night of drinking beer at base camp. But he told us a story. I think it was on another peak called Cho-Oyu, which is the sixth highest peak in the world. It's on the border of Tibet and Nepal. It's that he had a ghost story where he saw a spirit that was he thinks was a Finnish climber that had passed away climbing on the mountain, you know, decades before. And he was alone with her apparently, and it was a strange experience, but he swears by it.
That's what we need. That's what we need from Nelson Dellis the next time he is in Everest. Oh yeah, we are going.
You want that experience for me?
well, you know what? We're gonna get you some gear. Okay, we're definitely gonna send you some gear. I know we gotta make it real light, you know, because you can only pack so much. But we're gonna get you some very small gear. We're gonna show you how to do it. I'll get my buddy Merle to train you on up. But all we need to do is figure out, when do you think you're going next?
Well, it depends, you know, with this, I was thinking 2021 in spring, but let's see how things go. Might have to actually be 2022 just to be safe. You know, I'm trying to be smart about travel these days.
Yes, I totally understand that. My friend, we got about 30 seconds with you. Tell everybody where they can find information on your memory challenges that you do.
Yeah, if anybody's interested in that, my website, you can send me a note or check out what I do. It's nelsondellis.com. I got 2 books on memory. If you're interested in learning how to do it, you can just search my name on Amazon. And then my YouTube channel. I got a bunch of videos about climbing and travel and memory techniques. So just search my name there too.
My friend, I absolutely love you. And I wish you all the best over the holiday season. Merry Christmas to you. And appreciate your time. You hold on. We're going to just head off to break here. NelsonDellis.com is his website. Make sure you check it on out. Coming up next, we got the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues after this. Great job, my friend.
Thank you. Time flies by with you, man.
I know. I love you, man. And, you know, I'm so pushing for it, man. I'm sending you all those positive vibes. As soon as this COVID crap is over, we can, you know, get you back on about climbing up that mountain and winning. Winning.
Oh, yes, yes. Check out the picture I just sent you on Facebook.
All right.
Let me know when you're looking at it.
I'm looking at it right now.
You can see like that little blob
on the snow there.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a little thing coming out. That's his arm, kind of crooked, like frozen in place, but you can see he slid down a little bit the face there.
Right.
He has the rope dragged under him. Yeah.
Oh God. Now you have to walk straight past that to that peak. What's after that peak?
So this is looking back. So I came
okay.
from, if you can see that peak there, that's most prominent in the foreground.
Yeah.
We came up over that and then followed this ridge. And those are the two falls, like down one way to the other.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It doesn't look so steep from that side, but it is, and it just keeps going. So yeah.
No way, dude. Not doing it. No, I will live vicariously through you on this one.
Got it. Yeah.
My friend, I will let you go to bed. I know it's 2:31 where you are. I appreciate you staying up late for us here and kind of go from there. But much love to you, and I'm thankful to be able to call you a friend and a mentor, and I appreciate everything about you, man.
No problem, man. Thank you so much for having me. That was fun.
We'll do it again. We definitely will.
Yes, please.
Take care. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. How awesome was that? Incredible storyteller, incredible person. You know, I can't speak highly enough of him. I really can't. He is just an amazing dude who, I mean, imagine spending, I mean, this is tens of thousands of dollars that he has spent to try and get this summit. And he's missed out. He's 0 for 3. And I don't know, man. I don't know if I would do it if I was him. I can understand why he would do it. You know, sometimes you got to just finish the job. You do. You have to finish the job. And he's got unfinished business up there. Thanks, Sunrise. Appreciate that. Bye, Delisian. Dela Cruz. I hope I got your name right, but thank you for listening. Yeah, this one is a power show, guys. You know, I realize it's off the beaten track of the woo that we normally do. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate you listening in on KPNL. I know it's different from what we normally do, but this is amazing. And think about it, everyone. When he goes back, we are going to have potentially exclusive paranormal evidence from base camp. We don't even know if a paranormal investigation has ever been done at base camp. I know they've looked for Yeti. I'm not sure if they've hunted for ghosts. And we have the potential to get our name on that. Because Nelson's the type of guy that he would do that. He's a man of his word. So, I think he's a cool dude. Glad to call him a friend of this show. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I really am looking forward to it. And I hope he gets the opportunity to do it again. I know with COVID and crap like that, it's tough out there right now. But I'm hoping. I'm hopeful. Now let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. We got 10 seconds. Thank you to Cat Chaser, Xavier, Ann, Jarhead, and Sunrise for the super chats tonight. Love the support, everyone. Love the support. Here we go. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune us on in. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news. There we go. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the UFOs. Now, I got to tell you, there was a huge story in the UFO world that broke today, thanks to Tim McMillan and his new outlet called thedebrief.org, and he laid the hammer down on a couple of stories. Now, you heard me a little bit earlier in the past week talking about this UFO that was seen in the Atlantic Ocean. There was a photograph taken by a pilot of a black triangle that shot up from the ocean 90 degrees and then shot straight into the sky. Well, that story broke tonight from Tim McMillan, and we are efforting to get Tim on. But his story, if you go to the debrief.org, fast movers and transmedium vehicles, the Pentagon UAP task force is now looking for. He's got names, including former generals, admirals who have seen this, more denials from the Pentagon. There is a new video that has come out from the Dellis Air Force Range in Nevada that was filmed in November 1994. But this black triangle that everyone was talking about, there was some debate as to whether or not this photograph of this craft would come out. It has not. They did an artist's rendering of it. Apparently, this was shown to hundreds of people across the intelligence community, and there was another vehicle that was reported, a cube-shaped silver object. There's a photo of that from an F-18 as well. Now, this little cube was just hanging out dead center at about 30,000 to 35,000 feet, approximately 1,000 feet away from the jet. That's close. That is very close. One defense official described the report's distribution as having gone through normal non-public information sharing channels. Other officials who'd seen and read the reports either declined to elaborate or indicate the report was distributed on various secure systems. This is what we're learning. It's gone viral through the intelligence agencies in Washington, D.C., in Virginia, and in Maryland. People are talking about this. This is just insane. Absolutely insane story. Literally, it will take you about 20 minutes to read this story. I'm only giving you some real juicy details here, but I highly suggest you go to the debrief.org. The site was crashed this morning, and now it's up. You can read it now, including quotes from retired United States Air Force Brigadier General Bruce McClintock on this entire subject. Here's a little piece. During his 30-year career with the Air Force, McClintock's assignments included White House Fellow to President George W. Bush, Executive Assistant to the Commander of NORAD. I mean, this guy was involved, let alone the fact that he's flown over 35 aircraft in more than 3,000 hours. He says it's unlikely that the U.S. government would intentionally conduct tests against its own unwitting military assets. To do so would require a very high level of coordination and approval for the potential safety and operational security risks. Yes, absolutely insane. Go check it on out. Here's an interesting one from the Silver Record. Danny Silva, a great blogger on this topic, says, in what can only be described as a tumultuous relationship with the UFO community and media in general, spokesperson Susan Goff has again issued a statement regarding the unidentified aerial phenomena subject. Historically, her comments have ranged from total waste of time to seemingly misleading and inaccurate to even surprisingly helpful and valid. This is what she says, though. She answered a question from Danny regarding Vice President-elect Kamala Harris and Senator Dianne Feinstein, whether or not they've been read into the UAP topic. In the email exchange that Danny had with her and with an unnamed member of the media, Goff has denied that both Harris and Feinstein have received UAP briefings in the past 2 years. Whether this information, Danny goes on to say, is accurate or misleading right now is anyone's guess. However, at least the question is worth noting on the official record, especially since many questions are being asked about the Biden-Harris administration's past UAP interest and knowledge, as well as what the future may hold for a new administration on this topic. You know, I got to chime in here. I saw something today. Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures. Him and his team will be doing an investigation coming up here at the Cecil Hotel, otherwise known as the Suicide Hotel. Now, just a few years ago, the case of Elisa Lam happened there. Now, this was the Vancouver girl who was found dead in one of the water tanks. Nobody knows how she got in there. Then there's that weird video of her looking, standing in the elevator, then looking back, walking back in and out of the elevator, and that's the last anybody ever saw her alive. Many people still think that's murder, and many people still believe that the official record of suicide is what caused that. But there's still a lot of unanswered questions regarding her passing. And in Vancouver, her family is still quite hurt over this because it only happened a few years ago. We're not talking 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years or more, right? And here they are. So it's been just over 7.5 years, almost 8 years. Here they are using her photo as an advertisement for the coming show. Now, this isn't really news. There's nothing news about it because there's a lot of people who are like, yeah, let's go find her. Let's see if we can find out what happened to her. Was she murdered? Did she commit suicide? But, you know, for a family in Vancouver, I don't think this is classy. And I think it's something that puts a real black eye on the paranormal community. I really do. I think it sucks. But I also think that it's something that, you know, we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We're trying to prove the improvable. And to open up this entire case on national television for a girl who is unfortunately passed 7 years ago, I think it's low class. I don't think there's a lot of smarts to that. Now, I've let some people know in Vancouver in the media, whether they do anything with it or not, who knows. But we'll see. I don't think it's right. That family is still hurting. They still have a restaurant to run in Vancouver. They still want to know why their daughter was acting so erratically. I think that's just a little too personal. You know, even in my small town where Flight 21 crashed in 1965, yes, we've talked about it, but I would never bring a television crew up there or help with that to exploit the pain that is still in this community and other northern communities for a paranormal show. I think that's complete exploitation. Tell me how you feel. Hit me up on Twitter on that one. New details have emerged suggesting the strange steel monolith that vanished shortly after its discovery in Utah was taken by a group self-described environmentalists. 12-foot tall object, which appeared near Salt Lake City, was reportedly broken down and removed Friday by 4 men. Yeah, a 34-year-old who posted photos and details on Facebook recalled that the group created away what was left of the monolith in a wheelbarrow, leaving no trace, and this is why you don't leave trash in the desert. The monolith had reportedly been placed on public land in Red Rock County without permission, though the San Juan County Sheriff's Office stated that it was not planning on any sort of investigation. Now, its disappearance, however, is another matter. The theft, that is what we are looking into, San Juan County Sheriff Jason Torgensen clarified, but we have not had anyone come forward to say they are missing a monolith. Yes, now there was one that appeared over in Europe, another one that has appeared now in California. These monoliths are going crazy. The one in Europe, though, I will say this. It looks like somebody put a cardboard box in there and wrapped it in tinfoil. Not smooth. Not smooth. The Bureau of Land Management has reported cars parked on vegetation and an increase in litter since the monolith was found on November 18th. The agency has been conducting aerial surveillance of bighorn sheep when the object was found. Officials have since determined that the structure was placed on the land sometime between August 2015 and October 2016. Ripley's, believe it or not, is offering a $10,000 reward for information pertaining to the Utah monolith. Utah is now not the only place where one has popped up. Similar structure found in northern Romania last week and a phallic-shaped sculpture in Germany have both recently disappeared without explanation. I think this is a trick by a bunch of really cool artists who are playing this amazing trick right now. I don't think there's anything alien with it, but I think there is something really, really cool that a bunch of artists have teamed up to do, and I think it's great. A little mystery makes life so much better. And you know what? We need that kind of news today because of everything bad that's going on. It just gives us something to kind of, make our imaginations curious again. Now, if you're in San Antonio, Texas, I'm going to say this. Don't go to the Red Hook seafood place and bar. Here's why. A Texas waitress says she was thrilled to receive a $2,000 tip on a bill, only to find out from the restaurant that she will not take home a single cent. Emily Bauer has only been a server for a couple of weeks when she was scheduled for a busy Sunday at her shift at Red Hook Seafood and Bar in San Antonio. While working all the tables, she kept apologizing to a man seated in her section for being slow. He was just like, I understand. He also mentioned that he owned restaurants, so he knew how hard it was to be a server, Bauer said. He was like, just cancel everything, and give me the ticket. So I said, okay, and I gave him the ticket. Bauer said she didn't notice until he left that he had given her a $2,000 tip and wrote a note that said, Merry Christmas, keep working hard. I was like, wait. I just opened it and started crying. I was like, oh my God, my kids. I'm going to be able to spend it all on my kids, said Bauer, who has two sons, 2 years old and 5 months old. I was like, oh my God, I've never had a Christmas where I've been able to splurge on them. But she said her excitement was quickly dashed when the restaurant told her it can't process a tip larger than $500. Other servers suggested that the restaurant give her 4 separate tips of $500, but the seafood joint refused. It is unclear why the restaurant couldn't process $500 of the $2,000 tip to give Bauer in the line with its limits. I don't think it's our responsibility as a server to say, oh, you can't tip me that much. I'm sorry. Oh, no, there's a limit. I'm sorry, Bauer stated. If that's the case, there should be signs posted on the restaurants or receipts saying there's a limit of $500. Bauer said the customer received word that she won't get the tip and actually called the restaurant to express his disappointment. When she asked to call him to express her gratitude, her manager said his information hadn't been taken down. Instead, she's now sharing the message on Facebook in hopes that it reaches the customer. I wouldn't work for a person like that. I've worked for greedy people in the past, and that's just not worth it. Find another job. And people in San Antonio should be embarrassed. That owner should be embarrassed. Really should. Pro wrestling icon Pat Patterson, good Canadian kid, the industry's first openly gay star, and a longtime lieutenant of promoter Vince McMahon passed away at the age of 79. He was a trailblazer of the industry. Patterson was linked to many firsts in sports entertainment throughout his storied career, the World Wrestling Entertainment said in a statement. In a career spanning 6 decades, the Renaissance man left an indelible mark on the industry in the ring, on the microphone, and behind the scenes. Pro wrestler John Cena said he'll never forget Patterson's friendly demeanor and zest for life. He lived a life as it should be, with passion and love and purpose. He also helped many, so always entertained with a story or joke. He will live on in my life forever. Love you, Patrick. The Iron Sheik, probably the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, and you cannot disagree with me on that. Says Pat Patterson, I don't know what to say other than I love you. You have a beautiful mind for this business and a beautiful heart for this world. My heart is broken. God bless you and your family. Thank you for your friendship. Rest in peace. Oh, I love the Iron Sheik. And, yeah, I tweet him out, retweet him all the time. The teenage Patterson was thrown out of his home in Montreal after coming out to his parents as homosexual and did the unthinkable. Immigrated to the United States to make it as a hyper-macho world of pro wrestling, where he wrote his 2016 biography, Accepted, How the First Gay Superstar Changed WWE. He was the first to hold the Intercontinental Championship in 1979, and his early 80s rivalry with Sergeant Slaughter took pro wrestling to new heights in popularity. It culminated with the famed Alley fight at Madison Square Garden on May 4th, 1981. It was one heck of a match. I'm sure some of you remember that, but God bless Pat Patterson, and good Canadian kid, and we'll miss him. All right, finally tonight in the news, this young lady is dancing alone, filming for TikTok, which is never a good thing in the first place, at least in my opinion. I don't think so. So as she's filming, Hannah Viverette was startled when a man forced her patio door open. You can hear her yelling, "Who are you? Please get out." The man was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and allegedly stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, smiling at her and talking to himself. She recognized the man, she explained. While she's never spoken to him, she said that she has seen him in the area as he resides in a nearby building. Viverette said the man, identified later by police as Angel Moises Rodriguez Gomez, allegedly asked her if he was her friend, and she replied no. Then he allegedly said, "Are you sure?" At that point, she demanded him to leave. The 25-year-old then fled out the front door. He was later arrested. Scary times, though. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What did you all think, if you read it, of Tim McMillan's UFO article on debrief.org, the Black Triangle, and the Nellis video? Oh, Twitter loved this one. Jules, by the way, thank you, Marty, for the clown. I did tag you in this post. Interesting, Jules said. Nice vehicle to bring USOs, or unidentified submerged objects, into the consciousness of the masses. Transmedium travel. What's not to like? Christopher Wolford, he says, it's an ARV. Aerial remote vehicle, I guess? Or automated remote vehicle? I don't know. John, I want to see the pics in the video and a picture of that cube craft. Linda thought it was excellent. Jack Napier, sick of hearing about pictures that people have had and seen. Good effort, but it's time to see the pictures and the videos. Round and round we go. Joseph, all I know is I've seen 2 Black Triangle ships in my life. Both no one else saw, and both did some Star Trek level speed. I mean, sharp and turn on dimes and blur and gone off. So something is going on. What? I don't know. Nathan, pretty badass and needle moving. Okay. The CIA wants the DOD non-brass to think that those triangles belong to someone other than us. Let's go over to Facebook. See what's happening here. Michael Hall. Too bad we can't see the evidence the article is talking about. It really is. But you can't blame them. They can't really get them on out. They just can't. Mike, haven't seen it yet, but thanks for sharing. Then sends a UFO trying to beam up a Sasquatch. Oh, that's nice. Bobby Squared, it's like slipping on icy stairs. We all have memories on stairs. Sub, help each other out. Me, I'm just sliding back down. Sarah thinks it's awesome. Cousin Darren goes, no clue, sorry. The pen man gets the final word. Says, it seems like a well-written article with good evidence. The videos are interesting. There was one vid I had not seen. The DOD is still being mostly silent. I'm not sure what you were fishing for here, Dave. I'm fishing for your opinion, pen man. What do you think of it? I like the article. I think everybody who has an interest in UFOs needs to read that article. They need to. There's a lot of information in there. Tim McMillan at thedebrief.org did a great job. So did his team, MJ Benias and Micah Hanks. They got no other writers there. It's just the three. And I think they have done a great job at bringing this to the forefront. And we're better for it. We are better for it. I could tell you that. Because I think there's more coming. I really do. Where it is, I'm not sure. And in fact, I made a schedule change for tomorrow, as you all are tuning on in. Because what we are going to be doing is, instead of having our regular guest, I have had to cancel that, hopefully get it rescheduled. But this story is so big, we're actually going to have Bob McGuire, Nicole Sackich, Greg Cameron, Sean Cahill, maybe one or two others, I'm not sure, waiting on word, to talk about this UFO debriefing. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Space Travelers Club on our website, and the Snarkers and Snarkettes hanging out on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Thank you, guys, for a great show. I really appreciate that. And I'm tired tonight. I think I'm going to this now or third. Third. Second. Give me 2 seconds. Sure. All right. I got to do some major editing on this show because I got to get the swear words out. So I am going to call it a short night tonight for everyone. And I apologize, but I'm just tired, and I got to get this done. So we will talk to you all tomorrow night. Big UFO panel. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. And we'll do it all tomorrow. I promise you. We'll have some fun. All right? We'll do that. I'm tired. Go to bed. Maybe I'll edit in the morning. I got tomorrow off. Have a good one, everyone. Good night.